This week on the podcast, we take a beat to talk about how gaming can support good mental health and well-being. We also share our verdict on Black Ops 6, and on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown, we named the best cozy game. All this and more on the Pixel Parents podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host Liam Kelvin, and today I am joined by the bearded one, Scott, the tastemaker. Curry, how are we, Scott?
I love the inflection. I'm very well. I'm very well. I said to you earlier on, I've had Faith Hill's "This Kiss" stuck in my head for 2 days now, and it doesn't seem to be leaving. But I've gotten over the lurgy, so to say.
Good.
And I'm ready to discuss dying in Call of Duty and how that affects my mental health.
That's actually a very good link. Never thought of that before this. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better. There's nothing better once you shake the lurgy and you feel like you can breathe again.
It's cool because the first night that we had an opportunity to play Call of Duty, I'd taken a massive swig of Benylin straight from the bottle. Like no spoons are needed here.
No spoons required.
And immediately fell asleep on the couch. So yeah, Prestige Master was not attainable this week.
No. I mean, listen, there's only one time in my life I've ever reached Prestige Master, and it isn't happening again anytime soon. That's for sure.
I'm doing it next week.
Could you imagine? That's the challenge sets of the year.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
2 months.
2 months.
I'm playing nothing but COD for 2 months straight.
I'd be impressed.
Captain Price now. That's me. I'm soap.
Oh man. Well, do you know what? It's it's been a good old week, should I say? There's been a lot happening in the old game sphere.
I know. It's been. It almost feels like, once we record an episode, something big happens.
Yep.
Sony closes down another studio.
Falling like dominoes.
Aye. Games release that we have no time to play, and Donald Trump ruins America for a second term.
Absolutely.
I'm going to speak this into existence now, but honestly, I fear for America. I fear for the world because Donald Trump is winning that election.
Oh man.
I'm putting on my Team Trump hat. I don't want to win, but see if the recorded word is going to be looked at for the future.
Oh, they're coming.
Someone has to see that I've said Trump's going to win this election, and I'll be carried on through that spaceship to Mars when Elon Musk takes us.
No, I'll be put in the back of a creepy Tesla, and, exterminated for my views against them.
We made to watch iRobot.
Oh God, dark MAGA. I'm not getting on it. This is not a political podcast. But thoughts and prayers with America. You got a big decision to make soon. And my dad, who has a real problem with watching CNN and any type of American news. Don't forget, we're here in Scotland, and he will sit and watch that hours on end. And I'm like, Dad, any news? I don't even care what one it is. It's like any news. You can't just sit there like constantly all day. But this is his Super Bowl, like an election. So at least he'll be buzzing about it. I can't imagine he'll get much sleep. But yeah, a lot of games related news. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. I've actually been really looking forward to this topic as well. We've got later on in the show. But I think before we get into that, I think we should get some housekeeping out the road. So for those listening, this is the Pixel Parents podcast, a weekly podcast by parents who game for those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming while raising little ones. If you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at Pixel_Parents on Twitter /Blue Sky as well, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, you can leave a 5-star review and share this podcast online with your friends. It does help us out, and of course, thank you to everybody that joins us each and every week. And with that out of the way, Scott, before I ask you what you played this week,
dear me,
I would just like to take a little pause and thank the music man Sean Murray for the impeccable work he did on Halloweenified theme tune.
It's beautiful.
And the little touches that was all peppered throughout that episode last week. So thank you so much, Sean. It was an absolute delight. Honestly.
It's cool, man. Like, people just think that we put these episodes out and forget about them, but listen to them every week. There's nothing better than listening to my own voice. So
absolutely,
listening to what Sean has done is always a delight. And it was a surprise because you'd kind of alluded to it and I had no idea.
Yeah,
so a wee treat, not a trick.
It's one of those ones like he's the person that makes this happen. So
he really is. We do the easy part.
Yeah, he does all the hard part, and he's the MVP.
He is
the MVP.
The Montavious Porter of this podcast.
Absolutely. But with all that out of the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, fucking hell! Right, let's get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just drop this big. Right. Okay. So I have played nothing but Metaphor ReFantasio this week.
Okay.
I'm not calling it Fantasio because it sounds stupid. Fantasio sounds right in my head, right?
Yes.
In my head canon, it's Fantasio.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right. Okay. Now that's that out of the way. Cross that one off the list.
Here we go.
So, as of last week, I was 20, 30 hours into it.
I think
kind of touching that point. As of the date we're recording this podcast, I am now 64 hours into this game.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I've not been sleeping great because of this cold, but I've also just been putting time. Like I had a couple of days off this week, so I've just been putting all the time in the world to play this because I just want it done. I need it out of my life now. And it's not because I'm not enjoying the game. It's just not something that. Right, okay, let me try and word this correctly. It's not because the game is not good. It's just that I don't enjoy playing it.
Okay.
It is coming off the back of Persona 3 Reload, which is, Persona 3 with a lick of paint, or like kind of Persona 5'd, but it's just, it does everything well. Like, it is a complete 9 out of 10 game, 100% of the time. Like, I don't think anyone could convince me otherwise. It's not 9 out of 10. It's just I don't like playing it. Like, it's not taking personal bias aside out of it.
Yeah,
everything that it does, it develops the persona, like the gameplay loop and the gameplay style of the Persona game in a way that makes it better. Over all the sort of overworld battles where you don't have to immediately jump into, turn-based fighting. It can be a hack and slash to begin with, and then you can take off some of the hits or you can kill them straight away. But it hit me, and this is stupid to say, it hit me that I wasn't enjoying it about 50 hours in, when I was like, I honestly can't be bothered anymore. Like, I've seen this story a million times. The best parts of the game are really, it's the themes and what it's trying to touch on, because, it's all about politics and it's quite sort of apt to the now, but it kind of touches on kind of elements of like race and, belief and your place in the world and stuff like that. It really touches on these elements, and it does a really good job at it, but it's also just like, right, I get the point. Like, beating me over the head with this big fucking Atlas-sized stick. Like, I get it now, but it's just, I don't particularly enjoy the archetype things, because I feel like, Persona had done it well, but because it's not a Persona game, it's, developed apart from that. I think it was a team that had originally been developing Persona games and then they split off.
Yep.
So to do their own thing, which is basically the same as Persona, it's like, okay, but I don't think it works as well. Like, for me personally, I can see where people might enjoy it, but I just don't think it works quite as well as the Persona series. But it's a very good game, but it's just, I just want to finish it now. Like, I just can't be arsed playing it anymore. I don't have this affinity, this love for the characters that I do. Like, I could tell you, I know the whole party's names, right? But I don't have any love for them. Like, I have love for characters that I played in Persona 5, Persona 3, like, genuine love in my heart for these characters. But the characters in Metaphor, I can tell you exactly what's happened to them, but I don't feel anything. There's maybe one moment in the game where I felt something, like my hollow heart was touched. I'm the Grinch now, but I just don't think I as much as this game is for me, I just don't think I just don't like playing it. Like I don't enjoy playing it.
No.
Well,
I have a few questions.
Okay.
To hit you with on this, right? Because this is a genuine shock for me, and I'm sure listeners as well, because we all know this was one of the games this year we thought this is a Scott Curry-ass game. Big fan of their previous work. So the first thing that's come to mind is this like a Dragon's Dogma 2 type thing, or is it a little less than that in terms of, the stuff there that you're appreciating by the sounds of it?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like you're hating it, it's just
It's genuine. It's like, on another day, I would have loved it, and I'd have loved everything about it, but it's just not hit. Like, it's just not hit me in a way that I've been like, yeah, this is this. Like, I'm loving every single moment of this. Like, it feels too long for the sake of being too long.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe one character in the whole game that I think is interesting, and it's the antagonist of the game. Like, it's just he's the best part of it.
Fair enough.
But it's definitely not like Dragon's Dogma, because Dragon's Dogma was like fucking turgid. It was like a pain in the arse to play. And to put an update on it for PS5 Pro is just the most pointless exercise ever. Sorry, you Dragon's Dogma fan, but you're not going to make that. You can't polish a shite.
God, here
but
they come.
It's with Metaphor. It's I would hold my hands up and say it is 100% a 9 out of 10. Like, it has everything in the gameplay, everything in the story that you would want. It has the characters. This is stupid, like saying this out loud, but it has the characters. It has the beats, side quests, and all that are done pretty well. But it's just not. I just don't like playing it.
So a 9 on our scale is outstanding. So I suppose it's an outstanding game at the wrong time.
It's an outstanding game, yeah. Like for me personally, it's.
So maybe it's something. Time will be.
I think
you'll
so.
change your.
I think so.
It's probably just maybe came at the wrong time.
I think I've tried to play it too soon after playing Persona 3, where I've been like, I have this time and this moment where I've reflected on it, and it's just like, right, okay. But there's moments in it where it's like, I don't think it looks great. Right. Like it looks brilliant most of the time, but there's points in it where I'm looking at it like, we're in 2024. Like, how can we get away with making this game look like that? Like, the art style sometimes looks a wee bit off. Like, you're looking at like a game on a Nintendo Switch, and then 2 seconds later it's like, wow, like phenomenal looking. Voice acting, there's always this big issue with the Persona series as well, where original versions of the game are not voice acted the whole way throughout. So it's like you have these things in Metaphor. So you've got followers, and basically what your followers do is that you have different characters in the universe where you can, you have different, it's like a wee story arc, right? So they have 8 ranks, and each rank you get a certain skill with the archetype. So say, for example, it's one character puts you down the route of this warrior archetype where it has all these different moves and stuff. So you go on and do a wee task with them, you gain a rank, and you get another thing on top of that, so it upgrades that. But that then tells a story that they have. So they have their own wee narrative throughout it. But that's cool. But you only get voice acting for parts of it. Right. Like, it's not, this whole game is not fully voice acted.
Right, okay.
Even main story points in it are sometimes not fully acted. So it's like you're clicking X and just reading text for 70% of the game.
I'm trying to think. I believe it might have been Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
2 did that. Didn't it?
It's just bothersome, because like, you're paying this money for this massive experience, and it's like I can't look away. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the characters are talking, like I could hear them, but they're not. You have to read every single thing. So it's like, I can't be asked anymore. So I'm literally skipping through dialogue and stuff now. I'm just like, there's no point. I can't be asked. Then I go and look at the logs and just read through that. It's like, it just gives me what I need, a smaller hit. Like, I don't have to sit through the whole conversation, because it's just like, they're not saying anything. It's just like, it's like, right, okay, but don't like that. dungeon sort of design in it as well. So you've got towers. Every single tower has the same design. It's fine because they're designed to be that way and there's a reason for it, but it's like you could have done something a wee bit different. It's like to a room, they're exactly the same. And there's also other sort of dungeons in the game where you run around a big maze basically and you find things within that maze, and then you fight a boss at the end. That's it. It's not doing anything spectacular. Persona didn't do anything kind of particularly great either, but with Persona 5 you always felt that each dungeon had its own personality. Like that was the point of it. Yeah. Like that game's been out for long enough now that where the first one you go into is like a teacher and he's like sex pest. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and everything in his mind is just like porno. Like, do you know what I mean? So you're traveling through his mind and it's like Psychonauts, like where everything is based around that. So it's cool that way, but all the areas and all that just feel like, and all the dungeons are just kind of like, right, they're all the same. Like it's just one long corridor that you run through, just zip through, kill the characters and that. So I was playing it on normal mode initially, and I'm just like, just play it on the story mode, just play it on story-based mode, so just get through this game as quickly as humanly possible. All the fights, if I die, it just revives me, and then I just continue because I don't care about the challenge in it anymore. Like I've killed characters where I've had a really tough time with them, and it's like, right, okay, but I'm not winning any awards for it now. Like, do you know what I mean? It's for the reason we do this podcast in terms of respecting your own time. It's one that I would say, look, if you're getting into this game for the first time and you're not too sure about it, play it on the story mode, because honestly, it's like you don't have to worry about the fights. You just let you do whatever you want to do, and then if you die, it basically picks you back up and you can go back to it. So I'm definitely a big sort of believer in that, but I'm just like, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, honestly, just don't enjoy playing it. I'm playing it now just for, I've played it for long enough now that I'm just, I need to see it through to the end. And I think I want to say I'm about 10 hours away from finishing it, just if I mop up a few things, but I think I could go and just fire through it tonight, get up the road and fire through it in the next few hours and just, that's it, done and gone. And then I can finally get to the fucking real meat. The real meat.
The Veilguard.
The Veilguard. And recreate Sting. I always kind of toil with what version of Sting I'm going to make, like whether I'm going to go like pure
classic Sting,
it's kind of classic surfer Sting, or you always have to go for, you know, Crow Sting, but
it's never Wolfpack Sting.
It's never too red, but I that's the thing, that it's like, personal bias aside and personal thoughts aside, it's a phenomenal experience. And there's people out there that will literally shit their pants the minute it goes on and it tells the story. But for me, I'm like, right, you've done what you've set out to do. Like, let's just wrap it up.
I mean, it's a shocker, but I do look forward to hearing how you reflect upon it after you've finished it, because I feel that may change, because it sounds like there's a lot of stuff in it that you do actually like, but it's, again, for one reason or another, just ain't hitting it just now. But it's, who knows?
I'll leave it on this point, right? It's a game that's made to be, you know, it's padded out like a Persona game, where and it's, I'm sorry for having to like compare it to the two, because it's the closest comparison that you have, because it's, you know, pretty much the exact same team, but it's padded out in a way that caters to Persona fans and does the same things that Persona games do. But I feel like this game would have benefited from just create this story, this short story, 20 hours or something like that, and just create this narrative that weaves itself throughout it. You can tell the stories with the characters alongside them, you can do the side quest and stuff. It would have really benefited from just making this tighter experience, like not having all these mad, stupid dungeons. Like, have your dungeons, but just make them, you know, make them better. Like, you have maybe, you know, let's say there's 10 dungeons in the whole game, make 3 and just make them proper balls to the wall. Like, just make it really, really sort of particular, but and sort of specific details in it. But it just feels long for long's sake now, like these games now. So I felt like I got to this point with Persona as well, though, where I was just like, I just want this game to end, and it was like,
well, it's a long time you spent with it, you know.
Stupid long time, but
fair.
by this time next week, I'll have finished it and I'll have been shagging all the Canary and the Veilguard. Hopefully.
I know, and we will be bringing our thoughts on the Veilguard next week. Obviously, at the time of recording, it's launch day.
Yes.
I did try the boat. Like, you've had it a couple of days. Mine's just, I got the digital version, but it wasn't available in the UK till 4 p.m. Which is weird. So I was like, I'll just leave it to tomorrow. I've got some time tomorrow, so it's like I can have a dig into that. And I said this a few weeks ago, I want to take my time with that, so I'm not going to promise a review for next week. I
want review. I want full review.
Marinating. Unless I find 50 hours.
Not a full review. In review. Do you know what I mean? Like,
in review.
I hate that pish.
In review. Yeah.
It's so shite. Just fucking finish the game. Shut up.
Review in. So expect that next week. But anything else you've been playing this week, Scott?
No.
Just it sounds like that's
genuinely not.
Taking up a good chunk of your time.
The Veilguard and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero are still in the cellophane. In the cellophane.
What a problem to have.
I saw one of the listeners, Ryan, and I think he'll be brought up later.
He'll be brought up.
He popped out a tweet the other day talking about difficulties in getting a disc drive for the PS5. And you've obviously got one there, still in the same place that it was when you bought it.
Oh, look at this! That's a big ass box, man, huge.
I'm now in the market for one myself because I forgot to buy one.
I mean, I got mine on Argos.
It's not,
and there'll be somewhere that's doing it.
I promise you. I've got one of those alert websites that tell me when they come into stock, like Stock Checker or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So I've got that up. So I'll tweet out when I've got one, and then everyone else can go and try and get one.
I mean, you're not trying to get it delivered to your home, are you?
No. But I also don't want to drive down to like fucking Farnborough to go and get it.
No, I mean, of course. I mean,
I don't have 12 hours in a day to go back to England and here.
I remember, this is a good segue this, but I remember like pouncing when I did buy it, because I thought this was whilst I was still in the indecision phase, and I thought, worst comes to worst, I can sell it because, well, here we are. So I'm glad I picked up, because physical media, as you've experienced this week, you can get some good ass bargains on it still. But now that we're getting close to it, so by the time the next week's podcast will go out, the PS5 Pro will be here, and we will have had it and had some initial thoughts on it. But I'm already starting to think about what are the first games just to test out on it. Like, have you got a list in mind?
No, I'll probably still be playing Metaphor. No. No, really. I'm not going to treat it in any different way. I'm just going to play games that I normally would. I mean, and then I'll play Alan Wake because I think I'm saving myself for that. I'm obviously Final Fantasy VII will come, but I'm not there yet. The hard playthrough, I think that'll probably be over Christmas. I think that'll be that'll be the game, because I'm not interested in playing like an Indiana Jones or anything like that. So
the Veilguard's also Pro enhanced.
Yeah, so that'll be getting played anyway. So
for me, it's Last of Us Part 2. Like, I'm dying to replay that just now. And I know I'm not going to have time, but I'm just dip a toe.
No, definitely.
That and Demon Souls. I don't know why. I'm just really like that game looks fantastic on PlayStation 5. So I'm like, I wonder how much more we can see a difference.
How much better it can look. No, that's what you mean, aye.
But yeah, I mean,
it's the sounds. It's the sound design in Demon Souls. It's like that first fight that you have with a massive, like, not the monster, but the one with a big shield.
Yep.
And it's like he's firing magic at you. It's just like it's like
so good,
it's class, man. Aye.
Like, such good memories playing that. We might touch on that later, actually. But yeah, and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, which came out today.
He's now big on it.
I'm huge on it. No, I seen that. I think it was the other week we were talking about it. Like, I'll pounce if I can get the upgrade. Turns out I can. So
yes.
Tenner. I thought, hey ho, I'll just do it.
Aye.
I dipped a toe on it today, and exactly what you'd expect it to be. It looks and plays like Forbidden West, which is great. So I
saw some of the comparisons on it, and it's like it looks not completely different, but it looks completely different.
Oh, like, it does, yeah. Like,
it's wild. Aye,
an outstanding job if you compare it to the original. Because the jump to Forbidden West is so good, it's easy to take it for granted. Like, even the way the sunlight, you get that kind of thin layer of hair,
peach fuzz,
and you can see that in Aloy's face and other characters as well. So
How
They've
is
done a
our
good job.
how is our massive child head?
Well, you can import PS4 save file,
Oh,
and
God.
luckily I had went back and restarted the complete edition in the lead up to Forbidden West last year, so I managed to bypass all the opening
Oh,
games.
Christ,
I was like,
Angus. A pure
So-
nightmare, man.
yeah, it was not as good. So I mean, it's a looker.
See what you're saying that, because I know there's obviously rumours circulating around with Days Gone, and I'm always like a hair's breadth away from playing Days Gone. I'm like, I could play that game. I really want to play it, but there's also like, I'd never want to touch it ever again.
I mean, it didn't click with me, but there's stuff there in it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's on PS Plus, but what you might want to do is find a cheap disc copy now, because if it does, looks likely will get announced probably about Game Awards. I would bet £10 upgrade again.
I think
You know.
I think I'll probably pounce on it then, because it's one of those games where, as I say, if I fall over on a day and I'm like, do you know what, I'll actually play Days Gone today. Like, I hit my head one day. It's one of those games that I'm always really close to replaying it. So,
Never know. And I suppose before I get to the big thing this week, of course, but outside of that, this week's been a busy week at work, but stop-start, I would say. Marvel Snap obviously took a big bump this week.
chunk.
I've got to maintain my place at the top.
This is good. Some of the stories
honestly.
you were telling me is embarrassing.
It was intense.
It was.
Intense. I know some of the Alliance would be listening. One of my fellow Alliance members really did push. It was a great battle at the top for number one position, which I've held for like 4 weeks in a row. And between the two of us, we managed to basically account for the entire week's allotment of points. That was the equivalent, it's like 48,000 points between us. And we were adding those points right up to reset on the last day, on the Tuesday at 7 p.m. It was intense, but I managed to come out on top. But of course, it's been a really busy week at work. I've been up and down to Newcastle and stuff, so it's like, I can't do that this week. And then we've got the Veilguard and stuff coming out, so I need to take a wee step back on that. But in between all that, what we've both been playing this week is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Oh, so we have. You're asking me if I've played anything else and I completely forgot about it. Aye.
Yep.
Must have blocked those memories out my head.
So I've been playing with your fine self in the evenings. Not every evening.
Some evenings.
We were fortunate on launch day.
Yep.
Got a chance to indulge. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And on the whole, I really enjoy it. Like, I think it's probably the whole package, campaign, zombies, and multiplayer, feels as strong a Call of Duty release as it has been in years, to be honest. I do have some concerns. Before I get into that, I think I would say right now where I'm sitting at, because you're loving in review, clearly.
Loving in review.
I'd say I'm sitting at an 8 for it just now.
I would agree.
You know?
I was thinking that myself. I think that it does a very good job of taking the gameplay that you know and love from Call of Duty and, enhancing it in minimal ways.
Yeah.
Omni-moving. Like, I'm omni-moving, bro.
You are
I am omni-moving now, but it does a lot well, but I'm with you. There's little not minuscule, because some of them are pretty annoying, but there's wee moments in it where I'm like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
And then, I go on a kill streak and it's like, this is the best game ever. So it's COD, isn't it? Like,
it's that sugar high that you need. And I do have some concerns over the feel of the gameplay at times, mainly due to the balancing.
Yeah.
When you compare it to what we experienced in the beta, it was the damage balancing, in particular, the time to kill, TTK for the kids, feels uneven. So there's times where like it doesn't feel like I've really hit my groove with this one yet.
Yeah.
Even if I'm still getting 25 to 35 eliminations around, it still doesn't feel
humble brag.
Rhythm. I know. So come at me. 1v1 me and Rust. But it's so addictive. But there is definitely something there in the balancing. I don't know if it's down to the netcode or if it's down to
it's Game Pass.
Just Game Pass. I'm not sure what it is, because some rounds you will just be absolutely deleting people in front of you.
Yeah.
And other times it just feels like you're shooting a potato gun.
Yes.
And it's quite obvious because, as we know, Twitch shooter, 2-3 hits max, they're dead. So there's a rhythm to it. That's what I enjoy about playing Call of Duty. I know if I squeeze the triggers for X amount of time and my aim's fine, they're dead. But then it's like, wait a minute, that's most of my clip gone. And then they have time to go, oh, it's an itch in my back. I'll just tie my shoelaces here. Oh, wait a minute. Then they turn round and then one-shot you. And that happens a lot more than it needs to. And of course, there's a lot of the time it can be a skill issue where it's like, I've not hit you, my aim's not been great there, and that's on me.
Mm-hmm.
But more often than not, it doesn't feel like it was deserved a lot of the time. And that's something that Call of Duty usually gets right, but I know that it's just out. They will tweak it. So yeah, it's definitely good. And Omni movement, man, God,
I'm good. It's
so good.
It's very good. I've still not really come to. I think I really only hit my groove with it the last time we played it when I was using that handgun.
That's it.
And it was like, then it was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I just love how I was talking to my wife about it. Like, come and talk to me about COD, man. Like, Jesus Christ. And I was like,
let's get in the lobby.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious talking about how we play it together because you're like the serious one. Like, you take it not seriously. It's not like one of those things like, fucking hell, Scott, go to hurry up and fucking do this. It's like,
I need cover.
You hate not when things don't go well. Like you cannot stand it.
Hate it.
And it's like I'm the complete opposite end of that scale where it's like I'll get annoyed, but then it just devolves into complete chaos for me. Where it's just like I start running about with a knife or I start lobbing C4s at people and I just make my own game of it. And she's just like, how does Liam cope with you doing that? It's just like, it doesn't bother his ass. Like there's some rounds where I will go, 22 deaths for 4 kills, and it's like, but I hit somebody with a C4, so it makes me feel great. But it's I don't feel like it's after the beta. I felt like this was the best that COD has felt in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's come out, I'm kind of like, where has that feeling gone for me? Like, it doesn't feel. Obviously, you move around differently, but I don't feel any different to when I was playing the last one. Like,
for me, it is down to the damage balancing.
And the balancing of it.
That's what it is, because I remember the beta, like, and it wasn't just you and me.
Mm-hmm.
You could check your team, and everybody was like kills for days.
Yeah, there was actually. Aye.
Now, there's just I can't put my finger on it, but it's definitely present, because if you go to any type of content related to Black Ops 6 right now since launch, you will see it. People are talking about this imbalance feeling,
mm-hmm.
and with a shooter, it's that feel, that rhythm is so vital.
It lives and dies by it.
That's why COD is king in the shooter space, because that repeated cycle of kill, die, repeat, and it's just like, right now it's just like die, repeat, and it's, if you're having one of those rounds, and we've all been there, but there's nothing you can do to get on top of it.
Aye.
And what I found is, you're right, finding a different gun. I've found that I'm experimenting with marksmans and stuff like that a lot more now, and creating your little meta for yourself and in between ourselves. That is fun.
That's the best part of it. It would also be nice to, play around without helicopters in your fucking arse every 2 seconds. And some of the maps are atrocious. Like,
there's one or two which are quite bad. Red Card, the stadium one.
Yeah,
is really
honking.
bad.
There's too much going on in it.
Yeah, there is.
I don't particularly like the one that has a swimming pool in it as well. Like,
it's a high. The one that's in the high rise.
It's in Iraq, in it. Like, I think it's got the
that
statue.
one. Sorry, or the vault one.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
No, that one is just. It's not.
It's not a bad map. It just feels too.
It's not small enough.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's it's a fine art. I get a good COD map, but Nuketown's coming tomorrow.
Oh, good. That means I can die in Nuketown.
The only thing I love about it is I know the paths, so it's like we can.
It's always used to just lob throwing axes across the roofs and hope for it hits someday.
As soon as the round starts, to get the nades down the sides,
and then stand at one end of the other and shoot RPGs from one room to the other.
I think that's going to be the game changer once you unlock that small. That's that end of story. But it's not all just about the it's a package, so it's not just about the multiplayer. The campaign, I've not finished it yet, but what I've played, I've been impressed. There's a little bit more. They're weaving a little bit more of this open world, almost customized, slightly RPG type elements into it.
Cool.
The missions, they feel open, but they are linear. So it's not like it was the disaster that was Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
This is very much like you have to point A to point A to point C, but you can go in stealthy in this side, and if it goes tits up, cool, you can just shoot. It's not like insta fail. So it's like, I don't know, it felt just a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. A Call of Duty campaign is a Fast and Furious movie. It's big, stupid popcorn cinema. Like, that's all it has to be.
Do you know what it made it better?
Was that?
If they had Bill Clinton as the main character in it, like he's the one that's shooting everyone.
Oh, man.
It's just like alternative timeline where Bill Clinton is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
I reckon we're about 5 to 10 years off of that.
It would be so good. It's
presidential
like,
skins.
You don't actually look at the camera. You don't see his face to the very end, and it's like the Metal Gear Solid 5 scene where he's standing in front of the mirror and the smoke fades, and it's just Bill Clinton's face washing blood off his hands.
Oh, man. And then, of course, like the part of the package that I'm least interested in, but it is still, it's good, is zombies. We had a shot of it last night.
Yeah, I had quite a lot of fun with it, actually. It was quite good.
It's exactly like, it's old school zombies. I think the thing for me is I always find it very dense to get into, because it has its own meta, and again, you'd need to devote a lot of time to that, but you get to upgrade all your multiplayer stuff in zombies, so nothing you're doing is wasting time.
Aye, I just don't understand zombies. I've never understood it. It's like
just out of shootings.
It's just but it's like it's round based, so like you got rounds, but there's also wee things you need to do in the game. It was like,
what's the secrets?
You have to go and find a screwdriver that goes into a plug socket that turns off the electricity in this building and then kills the entire power nonsense. Like, that's not what you do, by the way. That's just me talking absolute nonsense, but it kind of feels like that's the way that the gameplay is. Like, that's
a pretty accurate description of
it's
it.
Like, it doesn't make sense, but just going on there and mindlessly shooting zombies in the face, pretty cool. So
that's the thing. I think if you've got Xbox Game Pass, definitely
it's a no-brainer. It's a complete no-brainer. Aye,
you know, even if you've not played COD in a while, I think this is one that if you've played it in the past, you will enjoy. So
just don't fucking come at me, bro.
That's it. 1v1s.
1v1 me on red card.
So before we get into the main topic, we did have listener mail again.
It's the best piece of listener mail we've ever had. I'm so sorry to everyone else that's ever sent us mail, but this is just, it made my whole week.
I knew you'd be a fan of this one, honestly. It's just the type of take that you would enjoy, but
it's the way that it's worded. It's so good.
I'm just going to read this out verbatim, of course. So this is from Ryan Seymour, who writes in this week with his horrific gaming take of his own, and it is a doozy.
Oh, it's the best.
You'll love this. So here it goes. So he writes in saying, "Okay, gents, I've got the mother of all horrific gaming takes for you." Are you sitting down? Okay, here it goes. Right. So Nintendo is a pile of shite. The most overrated consoles and games by far. Fair enough, kids will probably like them, but adults, nah, get in the bin. The reason all their games get stellar reviews and sky-high Metacritic scores is because no reviewer would dare put their neck in the line and say the quiet part out loud. It's shite. So there we go. Happy Halloween. And that was that. And I, for one, I have to applaud Ryan's radical candour here.
Oh, it's the best. It's so good.
Yeah, say what you really feel. And that is certainly a horrific game and take. That will shock and horrify some people out there for Halloween this season.
It's definitely something that I think there's truth to. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't particularly agree. And I know we said this isn't about agreeing or disagreeing, right? I don't agree that Nintendo are shite, but they do live off some of the good favour that they have because of the history. Now, Echoes of Wisdom, for all intents and purposes, from what you've told me, is not a good Zelda game.
No.
So
I mean,
why is it impossible for people to say that it is not good?
For me, right, and I haven't finished it yet, but it's the fact that I have put down a Zelda game. I think for me it's like a 7 out of 10. Again, I've defended the 7 out of 10s here. I'm the advocate of it. But you're right. I think there's more than a kernel of truth in the fact that they rely on nostalgia, and there is that one trick pony element to it. But
listen to this, right? This is my hot take bouncing off this.
Oh god, here we go.
Is that the Nintendo Switch is pointless? Like the gimmick in the Nintendo Switch of having the Joy-Cons come off is pointless for adults.
Oh
like
god, I mean, think how I feel.
Exactly. So it's like, it's cool, but we all play the Nintendo Switch with a Pro controller, or it's in handheld mode where you're holding it in the one place. Like, who's standing with those hook straps and playing fucking Wii Tennis these days? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I remember when I got the Switch, right? And this is something that adds a bit of context to it, because I do understand, and I think Ryan definitely won't be alone in that. But it's understanding. So when I got the Switch and I picked up the Joy-Cons and my hands engulfed it, right? It was like I was holding a Smartie, and I was like, Jesus. A, am I Andre the Giant? And B, like, it was immediately apparent. It's like, this is for children.
Yeah.
Like and then you have the little holder thing, and then I remember the next day immediately going out and getting the Pro controller. So I can't. And for that fleeting moment, it was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a grown ass adult and I'm playing this thing like it's effectively a children's toy, you know. And there's always that element with it. I think, you know, having kids there, it definitely, that in my head, it's like that's the through line, because that is now the thing that the kids will go play. But you're right, I couldn't imagine a month of Sundays that being my main console.
And it can't be, like, it's not powerful enough to run any of the stuff you want it to run. Like, the closest we ever got to criticising Nintendo was with the Wii U.
God,
but the Wii U deserves more love because it's a brilliant console. It's just
a fantastic library.
It was just shite. But there's points in that I agree with it. I do, because it lives on.
It's not about agreeing. It's all about the honesty, which I love.
I love it. It's great, and it was, you know, it really made me think about it, because, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about Nintendo a few weeks back. Well, a few months ago, like over the course of a month. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 weeks it was all Nintendo. So there's a lot of love there, but it was all a lot of love for older Nintendo games. Like,
true.
I feel like the Nintendo. I say this, and I think I've said this before. Since the Nintendo Switch has come out, I have played through and completed one game on that console. One game, and it was Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
That is the only game I've ever finished, because I hate sitting down and playing games on it.
Yeah, I mean, the experience side is actually no. You've finished it. There's one other game that will come to mind. You might mention it later, but
no, that you don't finish.
You don't
that.
finish.
You don't
it
finish.
finishes
That
you.
finishes you. Plus, I didn't play it on Switch.
But there is a lot of games on the Switch when I look back at like the ones I've actually played, because I'm thinking to myself, I only turn up for the big ones I'm interested in, which is your I say every few years, but there seems to be every year Zelda release, or if there was like a sequel to Mario Odyssey, I'm going playing that. I personally love those games, but they're for children, but they offer something for me, and I would hand on heart be lying if I was saying, of course, for me it is nostalgia driven. It is, and I think he's touched on that, which is, when it comes to reviews, etc., of it, is there a question around the nostalgia? I mean, personally, I think it can factor into it, but I would still go to bat for them saying Nintendo do make good game experiences regardless of
so good
the hardware.
Yeah, no, you know they do, but the limitations in the hardware limit the games that they could create. Like, because imagine a proper Mario title that, like,
I would love to see just how weird it would be.
Because it would be
Unreal
a total,
Engine 5.
It's like these games could only be made on the Switch. Do you know what I mean? And they could only run on something like that. Maybe that's why they do it like that. Like, you can make Breath of the Wild look a wee bit weird and a wee bit shite, because, you know, it has to run off a Super Nintendo with a bigger battery in it.
Because I do have the question about a Switch 2.
Yeah.
Which is, all the specs and that got leaked, But if it's just literally the Switch and it's a wee bit better under the hood, I'm like, they've been known for the novelty side of it, because I'd mentioned it's the toy type vibe that they're going for.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, I won't derive, Xbox and PlayStation for doing the same thing, but with Nintendo, I'm like, right, but unless that's going to be on par with what you're getting, I don't really see the point in them upping it.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
True. They need to get Mark Cherny to come out and do a weird video, a weird voiced over video where they talk about
slowly
45% more moblins in Breath of the Wild.
Aye, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's this take from Ryan definitely did make me laugh in a good way. So I really do appreciate his honesty. And again, please keep them coming, because I absolutely love to hear them.
Yeah, it really makes you think about it, because I do agree with parts of it. I really do.
Yeah.
So fair play to you.
Fair play, Ryan. Fair play. And we hope to hear from you soon, and all is well. But I do think it's time now for us to go into the main topic this week, and it's one we've been sitting on for a while, within our big old plan, big old document plan, waiting for the right time to
Project 2025.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Aye, well, this might be apt. So what we're going to be talking about this week is gaming, mental health, and self-care, of course. So really, we're wanting to just try and have a discussion about that intersection between gaming, well-being, sharing some of our own experiences, and things that promote things like relaxation, mindfulness, mental health, being positive around that, and kind of talk about it from our prism of parenthood and the experience leading up to it. But to kick things off, right?
Prism or prison?
Prism. Not prison.
Prison,
Jesus.
Fucking hell.
It's like cancel the podcast. He's in a bad way.
Jeez,
so there was a study from Oxford Uni back in 2020. Remember then? Pre-COVID. No, it was actually post-COVID, November, which found that playing video games can be good for your mental health. And they followed that up in 2022, which surveyed nearly 40,000 gamers, right? And they found no causal link between gaming and poor mental health, regardless of the game played. But they added there was a distinct difference between the experience of gamers who play because they want to and those playing because they feel they have to. Come back to your metaphor, refantasia.
Oh, aye.
So Professor Andrew K. Przybylski, I butchered that, senior research fellow, he had added at the time of the report, we found it really does not matter how much gamers played in terms of their sense of well-being. It wasn't the quantity of gaming, but the quality that counted. If they felt that they had to play, they felt worse. If they played because they loved it, then the data did not suggest it affected their mental health. It seemed to give them a strong, positive feeling. So I thought that was an interesting launch point for us here, Scott, just to help articulate things a little better, because there's lots to unpack.
It just makes me laugh. It's like Andrew Kay's obviously been like playing his PlayStation during COVID. And the wife's like that, going to get off that. It's like, no, I'm doing research, man.
It's for a study. Shut the door. So that whole quality time over quantity is the best approach, regardless of age.
That's the mantra for this podcast as well. It's just like quality over quantity, man.
I mean, you could identify things, because I'm thinking, when is there times where you're playing because you feel you have to? And I immediately come to like FOMO and being part of the zeitgeist and all that type of stuff as being negative pressures. Because if we look at metaphor, refantasia, right? And exactly the experience. Now, this is something you did want to play, but maybe in hindsight, it's like, if you had all the time in the world, and you're probably thinking, do you know what, maybe I would go for something else. You might enjoy it more. You might feel better about it as a result. I don't know. I mean, we've lingered a lot on it, but I thought it was an interesting point that they've made. Though.
Do you know, it definitely touches on some of the things that I'm feeling with metaphor, and definitely felt with Dragon's Dogma at the beginning of the year, where it was, I feel terrible playing this game. Like, there is not one moment where I'm like, wowee, my mental health is at an all-time high playing this thing, because it's like, it's just torture at this point. And sometimes with doing the podcast, you feel a sense of, in journalistic integrity where I want to come here with a story to tell. And, with Dragon's Dogma, it was, I want to finish this game so I can tell people about it. With Metaphor, I want to get through as much of it so I can come on here and say to the legions of followers that we have,
so many,
go and do it, go and play it if you want to, but
yeah.
And there's a sense of, I couldn't do this as a job, like I don't understand people who can for a whole day just sit and play these games, because if I didn't like something, I'd be like, fuck this. Like, it's not worth your mental health doing that.
No,
because it becomes, I know it is work, but it becomes work at that point. Like you're it's becoming hard work for you to do it. But there definitely is, like with Call of Duty, for example, I might not enjoy playing it for the most part, but there is enjoyment that I have with, can talk shite with you.
No.
And there's moments in it, as you say, like I pull off a headshot from far away and I'm like, ooh.
Exactly. I mean, that's one big thing that I've put down. I've kind of tried to distill everything down into main beats, because I do understand as well that this can be a sensitive issue, but we're coming at it from a positive, I would say.
Yeah.
The social thing that you touched on there, that's such a massive thing.
Oh,
huge thing. Like the social interaction that gaming provides, and even if it is just between us, not like nobody else knows. It's just like if I'm online with you, and that's something to talk about, talk to each other who's playing. And Call of Duty is perfect for it, because a lot of the time I'm not even actually fully engaged with the game. I'm more just interested in what you're saying, even if it is like, oh, here's a quote from Black Dynamite, and it's like, yeah, this is great fun. But it's that connective, it's a connective time.
Yes.
And it does wonders. It's easy to get wrapped up and fade away from your friends, particularly I think as you become a parent.
Yeah.
Because you're so wrapped up, and you will be, like, there's only so many hours in the day. Your wee one will take absolute priority, but it could be the same. It doesn't necessarily. This applies to anyone over the age of the 18. It's like as soon as any type of responsibility enters your life, you might find that your friendships just start to kind of fade away a little bit. And gaming offers such a unique opportunity to engage in a hobby that is social.
Yes.
And
no, definitely.
It can do wonders.
Yeah.
Absolute wonders. And it has done wonders, personally speaking. I don't know about you.
No, it's shite.
I fucking hate talking to you in that, man.
It's absolutely pish. No, I totally agree with you. It's, as you say, it's unique because you'd have to go places to get that same level of social interaction, but it's not always good. Like, it's good when it's well and you can do it well, but, we played, did we play recently? It was Valorant. We were playing Valorant, and it's like, we can talk nonsense on that, but as soon as someone comes in and starts slating you down the mic because you've not done what they want you to do, it's like, geez, fucking peace. It's like, but that does impact you. Like,
yeah, it does.
It's like that's a negative experience, and ultimately, you might feel the pressure from that to not want to either play it, or you feel it the next game, and it just ruins your time with it. So you come off it and you feel worse.
Absolutely.
But it's as you say, it's unique in terms of every single time you go in there, it's something different, and it's a touch point for us. Like, it can be, I've had a shite day at work, and we might not necessarily talk about it and go through every single minutiae moment of my day, but it can just be the cleanse of just not having to think about it, and just I can come off and then be like, right, next day, that's it, done. Like,
you're bang on, because you're right. It's even just that you first sign into the party. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? And then that's it. You're just straight into the nonsense. But you're right. You need that, and that's largely common for a lot of guys, I suppose. Like, they're not going to sit and give you a forensic account of all the crap that happened in the day.
And it's really important, and it's becoming more important now than ever that, making sure that you feel comfortable talking. And as a man, it's something that, our parents, my dad, for sure, it was never one of those things we would sit down and have a conversation about how we were and how we were feeling. It was always just, you were how you were. that day
Aye.
and like in that moment. And my wife comments on it because, you know, I don't dwell on things a lot. And we're talking about, you know, we'll come at it from personal experience, but the last month or the month before it, I had probably one of the worst 5-6 weeks of my whole life. Like genuinely, bang, bang, bang after another. It was just like, when does it stop? Do you know what I mean? Like, when does it end? And I'll tell you now, I wasn't playing games with you at that point, I don't think, but it was coming here, having conversations with you, playing games online, just playing games by myself. Just, you know, I don't have the mental capacity to hold all this in. Like, I don't have it. But having something there where I can focus on playing, say it was fucking Final Fantasy or something. It's not Final Fantasy, but say it was Final Fantasy at that time. But it's just I can focus on doing that for an hour, 2 hours, and then I just go back and that's it. It breaks that moment up where you're not constantly in your own head thinking about, you know, what do I do here? What do I do there? Thinking about things constantly. It's just you can focus directly on that. And it's telling where I don't have the ability myself, and I'll say this out loud, I don't have the ability to talk about how I feel at all. Like I don't have it anywhere. I don't do it with my wife. I don't do it with you. I don't do it with anyone. It's just the way I've been brought up. It's just been very much insular, and I get through things that way, and that's fine. It's always worked the way I can do it. Music helps, games help, but you know, as you say, gaming. I'll tell you now, it really got me through that period. It seems daft to say it, but just thinking about, I think it was Dragon Age and stuff, like just taking the time just to play through that. It was just like, I can just put all my headspace into that. Yeah. And that's maybe why it clicked so well, you know, because it came at the right moment. But it was really tough. And it helps, you know, it really does help.
It does. I mean, when you think back to any type, at any moment in your life, up to, I would say adult life, right? Because we were both the same as kids. We weren't sitting in front of the consoles all day. It was always like, no, that was an after thing. So it's like all throughout your adult life, whenever things get shite, and sometimes things can get really shite, and sometimes just be a wee bit shite. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's like it's the anchor point. And you know, I remember I was never clinically diagnosed per se. I mean, you're definitely a closed book. You know what I mean? I am probably a little bit more of an open book, but I'm not the most open person. But again, it must just be a bloke thing, I suppose.
Scottish guy thing.
A Scottish guy thing. But it's probably just a Scottish thing in the whole, actually.
I was going to say that,
but let's just say, we've had bad moments through the years, and I hate to say it, but this is what the podcast is great for. It's when first becoming a dad. Yeah. And I don't know, it was nothing to do with the wee one, right? Nothing to do with my wife or anything like that, but I found that mentally I went off a cliff edge. And I don't know if it's just because you experience the high and then it's all this change. But this was something that had manifested over a period of years. You'd probably notice in hindsight. And it's like, for me, the big telltale sign of it, it's only now looking back, was that my weight had ballooned because I was like comfort eating, not looking after myself and all the rest of it. And I'd said this like months ago, but it's like, listeners should know how good a pal Scott is, because it was like, he avoided the intervention. Because I look back at it and I'm like, Jesus, man, like I was like Fat Albert. But it was, I think after that, all throughout it, and I think one thing that definitely helps, and like you said, was gaming, because, and you're spot on about, it's not like you need to have a social element. It's not that at all. That's actually quite something that the rarity. Yeah. But it is the escapism. It's those games that you can sink, you know, the metaphor style, like 70 plus hours into it.
Yeah, 100%.
And falling in love with a set of characters or just a gameplay loop. And I mentioned this earlier in the show. That was a period of time when Soulsborne games really clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I think I got it, which is like being able to completely lose yourself and give over all your agency into this task, this game, this story, whatever it is. And I think mentally, being able to just unplug yourself from the thoughts in your head, and they're different for everybody. Some people may experience low thoughts, they may be intrusive, they may be anxious. There's so many complex bits of electricity going in their brains. Whatever it is, I think gaming serves such a positive purpose to understand how you're feeling, manifest it in different ways, and process it.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
There's a lot of themes now within gaming as an art form that can really help you explore how you're feeling.
Oh, 100%. And it's more so than ever before. You know, it touches on elements of, you know, I mean, I can't speak for example, like you're white male, but it touches on, like, you know, everything.
It does,
like sexuality, race, everything, the whole breadth of world issues and stuff. I can't speak because I'm stupid, but you know what I'm trying to get at is that if you're feeling a certain way, there is definitely something out there for you. Take Celeste, for example.
Oh my god.
Like,
that was one.
That game, I didn't play through it, but from what you've told me, it touches on and kind of discusses mental health in a way that probably has never been done before.
Yeah.
So
that was smack bang at the time when my first was born.
Yeah. And
that was when I started to feel a bit different.
Yeah.
And again, we're quite hard up to it. And it's only now that I'm in my mid-60s that I'm able to just look back
close to retirement.
That I'm like, I can identify things probably way too late, but I'm like, oh, maybe I wasn't really feeling too much myself back then, as you would say up this neck of the woods. But Celeste, the thing that got me about it was you're effectively climbing the mountain, but it's telling you it's okay to fail.
Yeah,
it's telling you, you know, if you fall off, it's cool. We can help you get back through that and just keep going, keep trying. The whole moral of that is that just try again.
Yeah.
Just try again, and it's okay. And we all have a certain pressure, and particularly, you know, if you're an adult with any type of responsibilities, you know that pressure. Whether it is getting yourself out your bed for work in the morning, looking after a pet, looking after a child, paying for a house, paying for your rent, paying for a car, getting your shopping. These are all pressures, and that does have an impact on people.
There's someone listening to this right now that's like, fuck, I forgot to buy milk. We're just like talking about getting shopping.
I mean, he comes back with no milk, but a copy of Celeste. I was told this would help.
Stirring your tea with it.
Christ, aye. Don't do the Switch cartridge, it'll be better.
Did you ever lick one?
I did.
We all did.
Day one.
Good.
I was not even shy about it. I think I did it in the office. I was looking at the papers at the time, and I'm like
putting them in a glass and swirling it, get the legs.
A fine vintage. It is definitely something that, you know, Celeste is such a good one that you've named an absolute belter. But there's other things as well, like the Assassin's Creed RPG style type games. The reason why I'm so big on them is because they hit at this point as well, and getting lost in it. And then Final Fantasy VII,
100%.
That came at a time where things were much better.
Yeah,
but again, see, when you're from a mental health perspective and from a well-being perspective, it's not just like only play games when things are tough. It's like it's the to and the fro. When you're feeling a bit better as well, even just the act of this is my time.
Yeah,
it's the release valve. Everything you said, like you've just had a normal day, and you're like, exhale. I'm going to go be such and such. I'm going to go be Sting, and, in Dragon Age.
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. These are the things that get you through it. It's like, maybe I hadn't enjoyed my time with Dragon's Dogma as much, but playing as Sting in that game, every single time I looked at his face, I was like, you are my guy. And I love that. You're the best thing about it. But there's just wee things. It was always like, you talk about, having kids. Like when we obviously had our wee one during COVID, and my touch point, it was always about routine. In my head, it was just the routine, get the routine in, and everything falls into place. It might deviate day to day, but as long as you're following that same routine, now it was always get up, get breakfast, go for a walk, and then it was because I had a dog at the time, and we'll have a dog now, but different dog, different dog, and then it was Animal Crossing. Get on there, do your things, go and catch some flies, go and do a bit of fishing, then go to work. It was very much, I always used to say, because I started work at like 1:15, so I always used to say that I started that 15 minutes like on the hour.
Yeah.
So to say, like if I started at 9:15, I'd say I started at 9, so I had that 15 minutes where I could just stop, do my things, and then I could just carry on with the rest of my day. And it was, I'm not, creating this massive island or anything. It was just very much, this is mine. This is my own wee space, my own wee time. And this is the point where it's just like, take 10 deep breaths and that's you.
Yep.
That's basically all this was. It was just slow your heart rate, come down, and then you can carry on the rest of the day. Because I wasn't playing games at night, because you'll know when you've got a wee one at that age, you're sleeping any moment that you fucking can.
If
so
you can,
you're clinging on for dear life at this point. But Animal Crossing definitely, for sure, got me through most of the early months.
Oh, same.
Of having the wee one.
It did. That game in particular was a tonic for so many.
For so many, and it hit people that you would never ever think would play it, because it is just. And as we say, we're going to talk about it later, but it's one of those just wee cozy games that you can play. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just sit down and just do what you want. Like, there's no. You have your own tasks. There's not a mission thing on there that's saying you have to do this by this time. It's like, just take your time and just do what you want. So it was nice.
I loved it, man. It was we were calling my island lunch, because that's how my daughter pronounced it at the time. And that was probably the only real gaming experience I've got playing with her. But we used to just sit side by side in the mornings and do the tasks together. And it was. I mean, that's a. What a time.
That is a pure moment in time, I
had my son during the COVID as well at that time, and it was just, I remember sitting outside actually. My wife was going in, so he was born by cesarean, and she was going in to the hospital. My daughter's with her grands, so at the time you had to go in. This is like, he was May, so
May.
It was like 2 months into lockdown, and the hospital was
that only 2 months into it? Aye, was it March?
So it was like peak. Lockdown was March in 2020.
Yeah.
This was like peak of like, we have no idea what we're doing. And going into a hospital, it felt like I'm going into the epicenter.
Yes.
Because I remember
you were a nightmare.
Bricking it.
You texted me before it, you were like stressing out.
Oh man, and obviously I'm asthmatic as well, because I didn't know what I was dealing with, and luckily everything was fine. But in the car, I was sitting outside and I had my Switch and I'm sitting playing Animal Crossing, because I'm like, because I might as well get it done.
Yeah.
And I totally forget about that, because there was a zeitgeist element to it as well. But coming back to the mental health side of it, I mean, I think ultimately, there is so much, like, gaming as a whole, even if it's not playing it, like engaging with the community.
Yeah.
Reading about, I mean, maybe not so much reading about it, because that can be detrimental, but even for some it can be, reading about it, writing about it, engaging with it, even if you're into drawing or something like that, it can offer so much to kind of give yourself a little bit of a mindfulness kind of based activity, in the sense that you can let go for whatever length of time you're doing. And there is times, I think small and often can be the way to go, because let's face it, in our situation when you've got the kids there, it has to be that.
Yes.
I think the days for me, I remember so much, like when we first had bought the house, and you're living together, and it was always like, get to the end of the work week and that feeling of, I've got the whole weekend just to kind of game, and just Friday night all the way through, Well, obviously you do other stuff in between, but it's like you knew it was like the weekends.
You had time.
You've got time, and you still do, but it's just at different times now. And it's that feeling of like something to look forward to. Like, I can't wait to finish work so I can go back and do X, Y, Z. And that still pertains today. But the small and often point, I would say, taking breaks are still important.
Yes.
Because we both, even though we're doing this podcast, there are times where we don't play as much.
No, 100%.
We talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, we do talk about it. And it's usually because maybe there's just nothing out there, or there is times where it's like, do you know what? I just want a week where I'm just watching the telly, you know, or not doing anything. Or usually for me, I'm really just wanting to go to bed at like 8 or 9 o'clock. But do you know what I'll do? I'll go up the stairs and I'll stick like a retrospective on YouTube or something like that, or a
100%
gameplay no commentary type thing of an old game, just to kind of see me off to the land of Nod. But these are just things that you always find that it just revolves around it, and it can be such a good thing.
The thing that I will say about it is there's not one size fits all with this.
No.
Like, what works for you might work for me, might work for, you know, Billy down the road, but it's just, you know what's going to work for you. Like, for me, it is just very much just like at 10 o'clock, my wife is usually either falling asleep on the couch or ready to go to bed, or watching fucking First Dates or some shit like that. So it is just very much like,
make your exit.
I'm going to just go upstairs. I'll see you up there. So go and take a bit of time, play what I want to play, either play COD with yourself or play something for a couple of hours. And then, you know, my wee treat sometimes is I'll stay up a wee bit late. Always regret it the next day, but you know, I still do it, and it's stupid, but it's just, take some time for yourself. That's the thing. Focus on you, because it is, being a parent is fucking hard. Like, there's moments in it where, you know, you go by days, weeks, months where you don't even think about it. Just days fly by, nursery, school, you know, dinner run, fucking shopping, everything in between, clubs, everything that you do, and you don't even think about it. And then you have those times where it is every single day is an absolute slog. It's you're waking up in the morning, you're dragging yourself out of bed, you're firing on toast in the morning because you know that's the only thing you can be arsed making. You're not doing it's not a bad thing. Like, you're still making breakfast, you're getting something out there, and you might plonk them in front of the telly for a few hours, just get a bit of peace, because you know,
absolutely,
it's tough, but you know, it is, just take some time. Like, this whole parenting thing is difficult, but you're doing it, you know. Like, this is me standing in front of the American flags. Like, you are fucking doing this. Like, take a bit of time, take a breath, go and then that's you. Like,
100%.
Play a couple of games, play something on your phone. Mobile gaming's bigger than ever, more big now than ever.
Yeah,
and big in it is great.
And big in it,
and
such a cromulent point.
You know, beat Liam and Marvel Snap and ruin his day. It's just do all these things. Just take some time for yourself. Go and sniff the flowers. Get a dog. Don't get a dog. Do something, man. Just
come at the king. You best not miss. But one of my favourite sayings that dovetails perfectly with what you're saying is that you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
And you know, just refill it however you see fit.
That's it. Yeah, we talk about gaming on this, but it can be any hobby you have.
Okay, so we've both got plenty, don't we? I mean, again,
do I?
You enjoy that drawing. You should get back into it.
I should get back into drawing.
Should get back into it.
I have a plan.
Music.
I have a plan. You know, I've always had this dream, right? And it'll never come true, because I don't ever want it to come true, of like front manning a band. Of just like standing in front of a crowd of people and shouting in their face for a laugh. Because I do that. It's great. But I've had this plan for something for a very long time that I want to try to do, that revolves around, you know, gaming and the whole drawing thing as well. So I really do want to get more involved in it.
Okay, watch this space.
And we'll see how that works out, because I think there's something cool there. But it also means that gaming time would come down and creative time would go up, which would be kind of interesting. So we'll see how that goes. But
go for it.
The end goal is just fucking do what you want. Like,
yeah,
you're old and stupid. Just do whatever, man. Like,
you only get one crack at
you
it.
do.
So,
you really do. And you know, kids wake up in the morning and the day they had before. They've forgotten about it most of the time. Like,
Such a magic thing.
it's
isn't
great.
it?
Like, it's just they wake up the next day and everything's fine. Like,
I know.
it's just you've had a shite night, but they don't notice. They don't notice these things. They might. I mean, they might do internal trauma, but you know, it's just. Aye, don't be afraid to. You know, you can struggle and you can have poor mental health, but there's lots of resources and lots of help out there. And if you are, you know, I might not be the best at talking about it, but if you're having difficulties or anything, then you know where we are.
100%.
We're as accessible more now than ever before.
Yes, you get things like mind.org.
I was just talking about us. Like,
us as well.
you can come at us if you want.
No. In addition, yeah, because you know this is a safe space. It's a lovely wee community that we're starting to cultivate, and it's, you know, whatever you're feeling, you will find that we can certainly empathise, and we can probably already have some type of shared experience with you in terms of how you're feeling.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think, you know, if you can find anything in life that can serve as a needed distraction or activity to slow your thoughts, calm, centre yourself, just do it. You know, for us, it's gaming.
Yes.
And as you said, it might not be for everybody, but it can certainly be an effective hobby, you know, and have a positive impact on your mental health. And it's, yeah, I think myself very fortunate that this is the hobby that I've
fallen into,
chosen, you know. I remember even saying to my wife, and for her, it's reading, you know, reading or, like, you know, watching her type of TV shows. She's not big on TV, but if she gets one on it, she'll stick with it. I mean, we're all guilty of that. Not even guilty, we all do that. But for her, it's like the reading, and she's like you. She should get into the drawing a bit more, but she'll have like those colouring in books for adults. And it's just like these big intricate things you can sit.
Yeah.
Try to keep the pens away from my son is a nightmare. But
I literally got battered by him a few hours ago. Man,
honestly, I was getting into the elements of, is he learning how to do a hardcore match here? Like pulling a table out.
I actually had him on my shoulders for an F5 at one point. But
yeah, it's actually good for that. The amount of times I do that, I'd like power bombs. You just got again. I'm like, right, well, you're tempting me to actually properly Kevin Nash at this point. So
last ride him, man.
Tempt me.
Heeding the ceiling.
Crucifix, you know what I mean? No, but that was a good chat. I'm glad we've had an opportunity to discuss it. And I would say as well, to end, I think this, totally agree with what you're saying, this podcast has been such a good boon.
It has been.
You know, for us. Just us. It's just like, I think collectively just being able to meet new people as well.
Yeah. Do you know that's it? It's the faces. Like the faces are the same, and it's, you know, like you see them pop up, they like the posts, they say hello and stuff. It's like, that's fucking cool. Like, we've got people that want to interact with us, and that's nice. But it's also just like they have a shared experience. Like, I don't listen to podcasts about gardening because I don't give two shits about gardening, but like I would listen to a podcast about, you know, shitting during work because I love doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Though, it's just podcast. Like, it's, well, I'll make one, but it's
King of the niche.
It's I need to come up with a better name. But it's one of those things where you're like, they've obviously found us in that way. Like, they found us for some reason. So
yeah,
it's cool. Like, it's cool that that's something that we've brought to the table.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, you know, even like engaging with other podcasts, you know, like with Alex and boys at Cross Button VR and Mimic's Fail, and then even people like Ryan and stuff like writing in, and like Adam as well. We've even got reconnected with the likes of Grant, as well, and of course friend Clarky. When everybody been so supportive, but you're right. It's been such a positive thing, and I'm so glad. And the other thing as well, I really enjoy just having, like, I know I'm going to hang out with you at least once a week, which is great. And you know, that's a really important thing to have.
Yes,
you know,
definitely,
really, really important.
Basically, what we're saying here is go and start a podcast.
Go start a podcast,
Go and do it, man.
Just
Shout
don't do
stuff
a
into the ether.
gardening one.
Telling you
Scott's not
this,
listening to
I'm
it.
not listening to it, but if you tell me there's a podcast about shitting at work, I'm there for it.
Well, if you're looking for a co-host, you have him on here. He's definitely what's the word? Oh God!
Choose it carefully here.
Oh, he is definitely a font of knowledge.
I'm a
on the
font of
subject.
something. Then
Font-
definitely a font of something.
Good God! Well, I think we should move on to our next segment, which of course that means that it's time for the Pixel Picks Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on in the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. So last week's theme was Halloween. Here we are saying it on Halloween. With
spooky.
Until Dawn becoming the latest addition to the list. An excellent pick, my ad, Scott.
Honestly, unreal.
It really was. And well, this week's showdown, we're going to be debating what best cozy game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. Now, of course, last week's winner goes last, which is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to it. I've got one which will surprise you.
Ooh.
And one that won't surprise you. For mine. So this week, my honourable mention, because I'm thinking cozy.
So yeah, before you go
Let's
into
define
it,
it,
how are
right.
we defining cozy?
I am defining cozy by anything that makes you feel cozy, right? Because piggybacking off the back of our main topic this week, right? So
I have a stupid point to raise here, but I'll let you go.
right, so it could be. I thought let's not pigeonhole it, because cozy gaming itself has become something which is usually fan based, which is usually something a little bit more cartoonish in style. Could be anything. So if you wanted to sit there and go, by the way, my cozy game is Resident Evil 2, and I'd be like, you're a psychopath, but okay. But to some people that is, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Brings
It's
you
the, it's, the,
comfort.
it's the limitations you have to place on that though, because it's like my cozy game could be
Well, don't spoil it.
Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain,
I would accept it. We would accept.
but you'd have to make a case for it.
You would have to make a case for it, but
But
I
by
think,
definition, if we were to Google cozy games,
well, I think, for the purpose of this list, something that does create a sense of coziness in the
Okay.
player.
my stupid point I was going to raise was my cozy game is God of War 2018 on my the original PlayStation 4, because my room would heat up exponentially. And I was cozy AF.
Well, it's a technicality, and the panel accepts it. Well, for me, right, the honourable mention is the Mad one, right?
Okay.
So for me, it's actually the original Fable, which is mad answer, but stick with me, right?
Ooh.
But it's all about the fantasy world
Yeah.
and the British humour, the charm, the style, and the whole vibe of it, and this whole kind of fairy tale inspired fantasy tale. And for me, anything that's kind of touching on the fantasy medieval type thing, that's pure coziness to me, and it's fantastic. Even like the weirdly shaped feet and hands and all that, like everything about it. It's a strange one, but as an honourable mention, I just thought I'd be true to yourself, because I will regularly go back and watch playthroughs of this game just to kind of be like, there'd be sense of coziness because
Yeah.
I'm weird.
Yeah.
There's other ones as well that I thought about, like the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring game on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
It's a cozy game for me. But I'm not going to get into that. But my pick this week, which will come as no surprise, is of course Animal Crossing New Horizons, just for everything we talked about.
Yeah.
Because the COVID game,
Yes.
but it's a game that is probably more traditionally in the cozy game.
Aye, that's cozy
Archetype.
game at its core.
The whole vibe is cozy and it has a special place in my heart, so I'm being biased on it. But I do think that game, with it just being so chill, and being like, listen, man, if you want to have a little hut and you want to just go pick up some plants or do a bit of fishing, it's cool. Just whatever you do, just do you. And off you go. But I had to pick that just because of the sentimental part.
Yeah, no, 100%. Aye,
But yeah,
it's without a doubt, it's a cozy game. It has the cozy game badge on it.
it does. Yeah.
It's like,
the official one. If you
get
googled
yourself-
it would come up.
Get yourself wrapped in a blanket with hot chocolate and marshmallows, and
Yeah.
you're ready to go. I mean, if you're defining cozy as, you know, a personal thing, I could quite well put Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain on there, because that game at its worst, you know, it is dog shit, but that game is phenomenal. Like, just in terms of how it makes me feel. Any Metal Gear Solid game makes me feel like that. It's just like, it's comfort food.
Yeah.
Like, it's chicken soup for the soul, I think, is the terminology that they use. It's, you know, if I want to make myself feel better, Metal Gear Solid 2 is the game that's going to get me to do that.
Always
like, on my deathbed, if I'm in a coma and they say, you need to do one thing to get this man to do something, put on the tanker scenes from Metal Gear Solid 2, and I'm there. I'm waking up.
It's a miracle.
I'm like, oh, Snake. But no, this is going to come to no shock to you. And in direct opposition to Animal Crossing, the only cozy game that I could have picked in this, and it's Stardew Valley.
Of course.
That game took over my bloody soul for, and I'm not kidding you on, maybe about 2 years. I would play nothing but Stardew Valley for a period of 2 years, and even now it's like crack. Like, if I touch it, I'll be in. Like, I'm back. I feel like, you know, Animal Crossing is good at its core because, you know, it's Nintendo. You're right, you know, Ryan shaking his fist at the cloud here, but it's Nintendo that are making this game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
a really bad week for us to pick Animal Crossing.
It's just like, but I don't think I don't think I couldn't pick it because, you know, it's very, very, by definition, cozy can be simple. Like, it's a simple game and you can do what you want with it, which, for all intents and purposes, you can also do with Stardew Valley. But I just feel like at its core, Stardew Valley offers more in terms of the community part of it. You join this town and you become part of this town. You become assimilated, and, you know, you can play it. You can be cozy in that town. You develop relationships with these people.
Yep.
And by definition, you also then create this cozy atmosphere within the town itself. You can join the harvest. You can join the wee festivals and stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I should play Stardew Valley.
I mean, I've thought about returning it to myself. I mean, I think
disgusting.
Played Stardew Valley before, played Animal Crossing, enjoyed it, but it's absolutely that. Like, it's a game that never ends. It's
made by one person. Is it not?
I am not sure now, so I'm not going to commit an answer to that.
But it was originally made by one person, I'm sure.
Right, okay.
I mean, I might be lying about that.
It's
fake
impressive.
news, fake news, but it's so simple.
The thing as well, we've made this really difficult because these are two games. The one thing that they have in common, outside of being traditionally defined as a cozy game, or at least colloquially, is that non-gamers, casual gamers, flock to both these games.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it in my life. This one of my friends' wives will play that non-stop, and Stardew, that is. Animal Crossing was the same thing. You were seeing people popping up that weren't playing it before, and it is just because it has that, it imparts that sense of, I don't know, both of them have such a monotonous thread throughout it, whereas it's really difficult to describe it to someone, to be like, give it a bash, like, you'll love it, and it's like, that sounds terrible, but they get their hooks in you. I think for the purposes of the list, I'm actually going to, I knew you'd pick Stardew, but I think I'm going to say Stardew Valley for this, even though I've picked Animal Crossing, just purely because of, I think it has had a much more lasting impact, that you will still see a bigger community for Stardew Valley, whereas Animal Crossing had its moment in time, which is special. But Nintendo basically stopped supporting that game. Stardew and that is still going. Whenever updates come, people will still flock back to it, and it's a little bit more of a continual thing. You can do that in Animal Crossing, but there is very much an end point. You can still continue, but you kind of feel like, oh,
what's the point?
I mean, these are two games that will command hundreds of hours of your time. Now, I do think Stardew can be a little bit more obtuse to get into. That's the only problem, but that's only because Nintendo have the advantage because it's
Yeah,
made for kids.
it's made for kids.
Whereas I think you could just do a little bit more to create your little cozy corner of the virtual world in Stardew Valley.
I love Stardew Valley. Like,
it's a fantastic game.
It's
absolutely fantastic.
It's a game that I, knowing me, should not enjoy. Like, I should not enjoy this game, but
actually, I can still remember recommending you to play the game because it was in 2017 it was, because it was on the Switch, and I remember saying to you, like, go pick up Stardew Valley, and then it took a while, and then it was just like, I can't stop playing this.
I honestly couldn't. It was disgusting.
I can't stop playing this whilst doing a jobby at work.
Honestly, carrying my Switch around with me. The most of the time I ever played it was on Xbox. Like, there was a period in time where that game would have been the top game. Might even still be the top game I've played on my Xbox.
Easily.
Because I sunk a million hours into it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to play it again recently. She showed a little one it, and it was like, look at this farm. Look at it all. And I couldn't go back and play it because I couldn't go back and play that save because I had no idea what I was doing. You have your routines, you have all your seeds, you have everything planned for the next 3 seasons.
Yep.
And then it was like, I had no idea. And then it's like, right, let's begin the long, arduous task of clearing all the wood. Let's do everything all over again. It's like, then I was naming all my chickens and cows and all that, like Street Fighter characters. Oh, man.
It's a fantastic game and a worthy addition to the list. So,
but it's also, not to shed light, because I think, for us, we personalised the whole cozy genre thing there, but games like, taking it to a place where, what are cozy games? Like Firewatch, things like that.
Firewatch, yep.
Like Grow Home, for example, like daft wee things like that. Minecraft, potentially.
Some would argue Minecraft. I think, Stardew Valley is definitely one that comes to mind first. Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Firewatch is one that's definitely jumping up. There are, because it's not something, I mean, even ones like Pikmin.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They just have to be cutesy, chill.
Yeah, that's the thing with it. It's cozy, has its own aesthetic. But it's just games that you could see wrapped in a blanket.
I mean, I'm still gutted that this Hobbit cozy game isn't shaping up well, because I was like, oh my, because this is definitely something that,
oh my,
this is definitely something that could take over my life. But hey ho, or even like the Pokemon Snap.
Yes,
you know what I mean. That could be one. It just depends, but I think it would only ever be between those two games.
Aye. For
me,
like The Rock and Steve. It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock in their Attitude Era.
Aye,
bringing wrestling terms into it again.
Poor Triple H, man.
Fuck Triple H.
I know, but it's like, so when he wasn't up there with those two. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you look at his legacy, because I used to hate him when I was younger. I was like, I can't stand him. You know what I mean? How dare he insult The Rock? But it's like, yeah, those are the two. But for me, I'm more than happy to say Stardew Valley.
Is that 3? Is that 3 in a row now?
Let me see. Yes. Can't believe I've been feeling generous 3 weeks in a row. So let me see. I'm going to have a peek, see what we've got for next week's one, which I shan't reveal. Oh man, oh lordy, right? Yeah, next week's one's going to be it's going to be interesting. I'll actually wonder if maybe we should change that, but we'll pick that up offline. But yes, of course, well done to Stardew Valley. You are the next addition to the Pixel Picks list for best cozy game. So that brings us to the end of this week's podcast, Scott. So thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoy the podcast, leave us a wee 5-star review. It helps us out, and of course, it makes a big difference. Scott, test time. Where can people find you online if they want to engage with you about your niche podcast ideas?
Don't. So I'm on Elon Musk's hellscape for the moment, at least. Llama Man 91, and you'll also find me on, Blue Sky at Llama Man, I believe. Dot whatever it is, nonsense.
bsky.social.
You'll find me on there somewhere shouting into the ether.
Yeah, just search Llama Man, you'll see Scott's wonderful big face.
I tried to make a tweet earlier on about that Willem Dafoe thing that I said, and I spelled it wrong.
Oh, for God's sake.
Fuck this.
Well, if you want to come and follow myself, then I will be at Carmelite everywhere on the Hellscape site by Dark Maga. He is such a VL man, honestly. He needs to go. And I'm also on Blue Sky as well. But of course, we can't finish things without a massive thank you to our producer and music man, the ever so talented.
The glue that holds us all together.
He really is. The talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray. That man does not get enough praise. I really wish
we need to get him on here. I can't.
I know.
I can't not have a podcast where I'm not staring at his beautiful face.
It's cooking.
For an hour.
It's cooking, but we've got to pick the right topic and just make sure that Sean's 100% cool with coming on, because that man is sitting on a font of knowledge. Twice I've used that. But he's got lots of stuff, and particularly it'll be a retro focused week, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'm sitting on a font of knowledge as well.
Well,
same thing.
Move on. Well, of course, you can listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms and follow us on Twitter at Pixel Parents, on Blue Sky at Pixel Parents, and of course write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Normalise shit at work, man. Just normalise it.